So Superdeluxe RCT. It's got the low speed compression. I think it's got 12 clicks there, and we've got the 3-position lockout as well, which is cool. Now I've put the MegNeg on this, and we're just going to look at more or less the intricacies of it and have a quick overview of how to install it and just what to watch for, because it's not exactly, it's more or less straightforward, but it's not exactly straightforward. So first off, letting your air pressure out. If you've got the shock off of the bike, it's easier to let that shock go past the air pressure equalization point, and then end up getting air trapped in your negative and it becoming hard to overcome that negative pressure to suck that shock out again, and you'll end up getting a bit of a pop or an explosion when you open the can up. So toothpick, or you use anything to take this off. Toothpick's actually more for this O-ring down here. So anyway, if you watch the shaft here, it'll come down to about 20-25% where it equalizes, where the equalization is. If I do it fast, it'll go straight past it. But if I do it nice and slow, that's the point right there, just under 20%. That's good. Now from there, I'll just give it a quick squeeze, and it'll probably extend again, and there'll be a little bit of air left in there again. There you go. So that's good enough. I'm happy to take that can off now. Take the O-ring off, the gnarly ring. Pop the can off. There's still a little bit of pressure in the negative, so that's dragged it down, which is cool. Keeps it out of the way, so I don't have to hold it and pin it. I've got one token in there. I'm going to take that token out and go back to the Nardog, put the Nardog back in there, and see how that is. But for now, let's have a look at the MegNeg itself. So this lower O-ring is actually quite difficult to get out. So it sits well and truly inside there. All the air pressure's out, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my toothpick, pointy side in, and try and pry that rubber out. These toothpicks aren't very strong, unfortunately. Good thing I've got a spare. So I'm going to try and pry this rubber out with a toothpick, because absolute rookie mistake I made last week. I had my birthday and I was super hungover, and I thought, I don't want to waste the day, I'm going to do something. So I changed the configuration in the shock and played around with the negative volume spacers, which are the rubber bands, which I'll show you in a minute. And trying to get this off, I guess I was a little bit impatient, and I ended up getting a little really small flathead screwdriver and doing exactly this, prying that rubber up, and I wasn't really paying attention, and I slid, and I put a little gouge in my stanchion here, which I'm so disappointed about. It was an absolute rookie error. So do not use any metal objects unless you're extremely delicate, and I'd probably say wrap this with a paper towel or some sort of a towel as well, just so if you do slip, you're not going to cut that, because that's pretty crucial there. It's obviously, it meets up with the negative side of the air chamber, so it's pressurized under that as well. And if you've got a big nick, you're going to drop pressure, I believe. I might be wrong there, but I think it'll cause an issue. But anyway, so I've opened that rubber up. Now I'm going to peel it off. So when you buy the pack, this thick rubber is your lower securing O-ring, I guess. And then from there, pop the negative can off. Slide it off, be careful not to cut or scratch anything, obviously. And then that's it, that's your extra negative air chamber space. So your rubber bands go here. Let me go grab a rubber band, I'll show you. So you got these rubber bands, they go on there, so you can go up to 4 in here. So with none in there, it's 211% the size, so just over 2 times the size of the standard negative air, or the debonair spring, the negative chamber. 2 is, I believe, 199%, 3 is 187 or something like that, and then 4 is 165%, something like that. Around those numbers, don't quote me on them exactly, but it's pretty close to that. So even with it completely stocked up, you're still 64% bigger, basically. So 60%, just over 60% bigger than the original negative air chamber, which is probably more or less where you want it to be. So I may eventually go to filling that up with spacers. At the moment, I'm going to put the Nardog back in and see how that feels, because right now, running it on Death Track, I was going softer and softer and softer on the spring, as in the progression. I was taking a token out, started with the negative side completely open, so at that 211%, and the positive side with all the spacers that were in there when I had the standard can, which was Nardog plus 2, so 4.5 overall, and there just wasn't enough bottom out support. And I think also what was happening is I wasn't running enough low speed compression on this, so the compression tune's quite open on these shocks if you've got this adjustable compression. So 0 clicks is literally 0 compression, so you add, it seems like anywhere between 5 and 8 clicks is a sweet spot on this. I think over 8 clicks, maybe your spring's a bit soft, and under 4 or 5, your spring's probably a little bit firm. Maybe it's just, yeah, early impressions, I guess. But anyway, your kit, when you get a MegNeg kit, comes with 2 of these fatties and 4 of these more narrow rings. So obviously the narrow rings go inside of the can, so you've got one up the top here in that groove, and then down the bottom here you've got 2 grooves. One groove closer to the internals of the can is for the small ring, and then that larger groove is once this can's back on, pop the can on, and then you put that large rubber on at the end. Also, something to note is the configuration of this lower can. The bulge in the can, so it's only got a bulge at one end, has to be at the bottom of the air can. If you put it upside down, I'm assuming it's going to cause an issue. I'm not too sure, but they specify to put the bulge at the bottom, so you put the bulge at the bottom, obviously. So I'm going to leave that open for now. I'm going to chuck the Nardog back in, and we'll see how it goes. But anyway, that's just a quick rundown of the MegNeg, the intricacies of it, and how to assemble it, because it really doesn't have any assembly guidelines or anything like that. I couldn't find anything on the net really, and you got to kind of you got to peck around to find any information on it at the moment. So that's easy. Do not scratch this stanchion. That was an absolute rookie move. So yeah, hate on me for that for sure. Just silly mistake. Don't work on your bike or your suspension hung over. Maybe that's the takeaway from this. But yeah, let's put it back together and see how we go.